Here are some of the most depressing horror movies ever made. Before I get into it, if you're new here and enjoy horror movies, hit that follow button. First up is Funny Games with Naomi Watts. This is a reboot of an original film. The film follows a family who takes a vacation who wants to relax and have a good time. However, two young men want nothing more than to have a good time, which means, in their language, having a good time is taking over the house, stalking them, humiliating them, and eventually taking their life. This movie is not for the faint of heart, folks. Highly depressing film. Next up, I have Stephen King's Carrie. This is an all-time favorite film for me, and it lives in my head rent-free. The story follows a young woman named Carrie White. She has an overprotective religious mother who is a literal freak. Carrie has a superpower called telekinesis, where she can move things without doing anything but looking at the object. This movie will definitely stick with you once you watch it. Next up, I have Hereditary by Ari Aster. Most of you have already seen this film, but if you haven't, this one definitely sits with you. Toni Collette delivers an amazing performance. When Ellen, the matriarch of the Graham family, passes away, the family starts to unravel very cryptic messages and secrets about the family's history. Again, another film about grief, loss, and this one is certainly not for the faint of heart. There were some very creepy and eerie scenes in this film. Pet Sematary is on my top 5 horror films of all time. Grief, loss, everything in the books. This film is brilliant and a complete masterpiece. A family moves to a small town in Maine. There is a pet cemetery in their backyard. This pet cemetery is a burial ground where they realize that they can put humans in this burial ground and come back to life. But they're not the same human after they come back to life. They're evil. 10 out of 10 film, brilliantly done, but very depressing. The Orphanage is completely underrated. Very sad. Laura loses her son Simone and tries to look everywhere for him and cannot find him. She eventually finds him and mourns his loss. She cannot handle the grief anymore. I'm going to leave it at that, guys, because this story is beautiful, sad, captivating, and this one will also stick with you. It's a ghost story, and it is one of my personal favorites. And finally, one of the most intense endings of a horror film belongs to The Mist. This is a Stephen King film and is on my top 15 horror films of all time. The ending of this film will absolutely sit with you for the rest of your life. And it will piss you off, make you sad, make you scream at the screen, everything. Let me know which films you guys have seen from this list and if you plan to watch any of them. And follow for all things horror and spooky if you're new here.